Good evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Wednesday, April 12, 2023. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Amid strong international interest, Guyana extends oil blocks' auction until July. Family alleges murder as 24-year-old man found dead on Bat Settlement Road. Recurring feud between BERBICE youths turns deadly. Gunman opens fire at ECCLES home of photographer in cybercrime trial, and popular Sheriff Street Eatery gutted by electrical fire. Now for the news in detail. Amid a plethora of interest being expressed by major players internationally, the Guyana government has extended the date for the auction of its 14 oil blocks offshore. Gerald Bryan reports.
The Ministry of Natural Resources announced on Wednesday that the auction of the oil blocks offshore Guyana will be extended until July 15, 2023. The auction was initially slated to end on April 14, 2023, after which evaluations and negotiations would follow and blocks awarded in May of 2023. But in light of the intense interest by international players in bidding for the blocks, the government has chosen to extend the bid round. It was further explained that having recently concluded agreements with PGS Exploration and CGG Data Services, bidders can have additional 2D seismic data for the blocks. Meanwhile, work continues on finalizing the model production sharing agreement, a draft of which was recently released. Additionally, work also continues on the overhaul of the outdated 1986 Petroleum Exploration and Production Act. The sizes of the 14 oil blocks in auction range from 1,000 to 3,000 square kilometers. Among the fiscal terms for the blocks is a 10% royalty and 50-50 profit sharing after cost oil recovery. It was previously disclosed by Natural Resources Minister Vikram Bharat that over 20 firms so far have expressed interest in the auction. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
Family members of a 24-year-old laborer are calling on the police to conduct a more thorough probe into the death of the man whose body was found on the roadway at Bat Settlement, West Coast, Berbice. In this Andrew Carmichael report, we hear that though an autopsy gave the cause of death as natural causes, family members believe something more sinister has been responsible for the man's demise.
An autopsy performed on Wednesday on the body of a West Berbice man who was found motionless on the road at Bat Settlement on Sunday indicated that he died of natural causes. However, family members are calling for a more thorough probe into the matter. The body of 24-year-old Joseph Garrett was discovered lying on the parapet at Saga Street with Bat Settlement, West Coast, Berbice, with blood oozing from his mouth. The autopsy gave the cause of death as shock lungs. According to Regional Commander Senior Superintendent Curlich Simon, the autopsy found that because of Garrett's poor eating habits and because of the use of other substances, it would have affected him. However, family members say the now dead man was being accused of stealing a bird from his neighbor just before he turned up dead. He had reportedly left work on Saturday evening at a nightclub where he worked as a laborer. On Sunday morning, his lifeless body was found on the road. Over the past year, Garrett had been living with Shumati Mangrove. She said after his mother fell ill, she took him in.
And he just come and just they help me do our fight work outside in the yard. Help me feed me the chicken and so come in my little chicken for home use. If you want some, if you need anybody to run and go shop, you just stay around. I know he just work, do garden work for people.
Meanwhile, another man who reportedly witnessed Garrett being injured was later seen with a knife stuck in his abdomen. Villagers say they do not know the man by name but from begging and doing odd jobs around the community. The man was subsequently taken to the New Amsterdam hospital where he passed away. Who would have witnessed that? Or how you know? Who said that they saw it?
Oh, for his life?
When he was being eaten?
Yeah, he said father.
He saw?
No, he not saw. He said he hear people attack. So he was begging for his life, saying he knew nothing but the board.
And what about this other boy?
This not about me. Well, here I happen me here say he get beat up the same night too, but me don't know his aunt when he get beat up at the set place at the same time.
Mangrove says she was not disputing the autopsy which was conducted by government pathologist Dr. Vivekanand Brijmohan, but they believe more facts surrounding the young man's murder and that the police need to investigate more.
The fingerprint in neck, blood in mouth, and down is a big
Right?
teeth, yes, the jaw. I get a picture somewhere, so I don't know if you want to see it, so you can see the blood showing there.
What would you like to see happen now?
I like to see my brother get justice. I get justice for my brother because the story is not adding up.
Andrew Carmichael, the Evening News.
An 18-year-old lad of Dukestown, Carriverton, BERBICE is now dead after being chopped on Monday by two young men in his community, with whom he had an ongoing feud. Our BERBICE correspondent Andrew Carmichael joins us again to report that relatives are bemoaning that previous incidents between the youths had not been dealt with effectively by the police, including one case in which the now-dead teen had a hand almost severed.
Dead is 18-year-old Kellon Bias, a laborer of Dukestown, Carriverton, BERBICE. Police say the teen was chopped by two men with whom he had an ongoing misunderstanding, wherein they would have wounded each other in the past. The now dead man's aunt, Bridget Bias, told the Evening News that her nephew went to the tailor on Easter Monday, and on his return, he was attacked by the two brothers at the head of the street where he resided.
He was on the way home when these fellas trailed him. They see on the ambush he was on a bike, and they started chopping from the road front. He run for help. He had nothing to defend himself, and they continued chopping. People was there, but nobody really want to come forward to see anything. He run, he get confused, he fall down, and they chop him until he couldn't make it no more to move.
Police say the attackers were both armed with cutlasses. The injured lad was then rushed to the Skeldon Public Hospital and subsequently transferred to the New Amsterdam Public Hospital. He succumbed to his injuries on Tuesday afternoon. The two suspects live a stone throw away from the teen's home.
He and them had an ongoing problem from since school days. The very first time they catch he was last, a year before the last. And the chappy, his hand couldn't work till now, and he was sweet bad. The police never take no step, and this thing continue going. A few months again last year, they attacked him. He had to defend himself. Where he pelt a bottle and one of them get stabbed or chopped or something, cut or something. Nothing come out of that story. He lived to go, he cousin to get chopped from the same fellas last year.
Police said at about 17 hours 30 on Tuesday, one of the suspects turned himself in at the Springlands police station. Bias leaves to mourn three siblings and his parents.
All I need is justice for my son. They did it once, we didn't get no justice. Now they do it again, they kill him. We need justice for my son. I need justice.
Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
A gunman last evening opened fire on the ECCLES East Bank Demerara home of the photographer currently on trial in relation to cybercrime charges. At the time of the incident, at around 22:30 hours, Kieron Bruce, his wife and sons were at home. The gunman reportedly arrived on a motorcycle and discharged about 8 rounds in the direction of the photographer's home, hitting his house and a vehicle in the yard. No one was injured. Police arrived on the scene shortly after the incident. The trial of photographer Bruce, who is charged with a cybercrime offense over the social media cartoon character Mudwater, is currently ongoing. Bruce is on trial before Diamond Golden Grove magistrate Sunil Scares on accusation of being the person behind the social media cartoon character Mudwater, who, according to the police, has made slanderous publications about several persons contrary to the Cybercrime Act. Luana McAllister joins us now to report that flames roaring through the popular Mario's Juice Bar on Sheriff Street, Georgetown, last evening turned the once vibrant establishment into a charred and smoldering ruin. Here is this story.
The fire at Mario's Juice Bar on Sheriff Street, Georgetown, started around 23 hours 30 on Tuesday night and quickly engulfed the entire building. Despite the fire department's efforts, the blaze raged on for several hours, completely destroying the popular eating spot. Mario's Juice Bar, known for its fresh and delicious smoothies and juices, had been a staple of the Sheriff Street community for over a decade. When the Evening News visited the scene, a security guard attached to the business establishment explained that the fire erupted some 15 minutes after the employees had closed operations and departed for the night. The man said he was sitting outside when he heard a loud explosion in the building. He said upon investigating, he saw flames coming from the kitchen area. The man said he immediately ran over to the business next door, where he alerted them to the fire. Shortly after, he said a call was made to the fire service, and within minutes, the business was fully engulfed in flames. Meanwhile, the fire service and water tenders from the Central and Camperville fire stations were immediately dispatched to the location. The fire service said the purported cause of the fire was the overheating of a faulty industrial chiller, which ignited and spread to the entire building. Reporting for the Evening News, I am Lawanda McAllister.
Coming up, GTT promises prompt fix of damaged manhole on Sheriff Street, and US $721 million projected to be earned from local content in 2023. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Did you know that when you leave your property unoccupied and unmanaged, it deteriorates much faster than you can imagine? Then before you know it, much of your hard-earned investment is wasted. At Hand in Hand Trust Corporation, property management is our business. Whether you travel for long periods, live overseas, or have several properties that require managing, let us at Hand in Hand Trust Corporation take care of this for you. Your property is safe with us. Hand in Hand Trust Corporation Incorporated, a member of the Hand in Hand Group of Companies.
Optic offers great patient care that is tailored for my entire family.
At Optic, a wide selection of affordable optical frames and optical services are available to fit your budget.
At Optic, my family is provided with comprehensive eye examination and access to their ophthalmology services, all under one roof.
Optic takes pride in delivering exceptional customer service and a unique experience to you, our customers.
Optic Vision Care is a company that is Guyanese born and grown that will help you take care of your precious eyes.
Thousands of persons in hinterland communities are now receiving 24-hour access to treated water for the first time. They are enjoying the benefits of new wells and water supply systems in their communities. Having better quality water for everyday use translates to an improved quality of life. It is projects like these that Guyana's oil revenues are supporting, with over $120 billion withdrawn from the Natural Resource Fund to improve the lives of Guyanese.
It's the big taste you love. Devon Big Six. For when you want more. Devon Big Six. The biggest six in Guyana. More chocolate. More custard. More value. Devon Big Six. Put a smile on your face.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. One day after the Ministry of Public Works issued a statement calling on telecommunications giant GTT to act swiftly in fixing a damaged manhole on Sheriff Street, Georgetown, the company has committed to having the issue permanently addressed in a few days' time. Tasia Dickinson tells us more.
The Waneja-led Ministry of Public Works on Tuesday issued a statement calling on GTT to expeditiously fix the damaged manhole on Sheriff Street, Georgetown, which is posing hazardous to motorists. The damage in question is the cover of a metal chamber used by GTT to access its utility corridor underground along both Sheriff Street and Mandela Avenue. The damage has been observed for some time now. The ministry noted that while the responsibility was not theirs, it had instructed the area to be cornered off with reflective cones to ensure drivers can see it from a distance day and night until GTT corrects this issue. On Wednesday, the telecommunications giant issued a statement apologizing for the inconvenience and committing to having the issue permanently rectified by April 15th. Moreover, the company noted that it did everything necessary to cordon off the area and cover the hazard, but on April 8th or 9th, all markers were removed. The company said after this development, more robust measures were implemented in the following days. GTT said, "The safety of road users is important to us. We wish to confirm that a permanent and secure replacement will be completed by April 15th, and we urge continued caution by motorists traversing the area." Tasia Dickinson for the Evening News.
President Dr. Irfan Ali was told of efforts to fast-track the preliminary works ongoing on the Ogle to ECCLES Bypass Road project that would link the East Coast Demerara Corridor to the East Bank Demerara Corridor when the head of state visited the construction site to check on the progress of the works on Tuesday. More in this Vanu Manikchand report.
You gotta push to get out of here before the rain comes.
Yes, sir, we are trying.
We almost reached 6.5. One more
geotechnical investigation completed at 7 kilometers.
Yeah.
We just make access right now, and we are doing the work.
All right, great.
Yeah.
That was President Dr. Irfan Ali speaking with contractors working on the Ogle to ECCLES Road Link project, which will run 7.8 kilometers through swampy backlands to connect the East Coast with the East Bank of Demerara.
You can have an appreciation for the type of work and the effort that goes behind bringing these development to reality. And this is why they have to work 24 hours, moving from we have a number of difficulties in construction of these roads. Not only are we below sea level, but we have a very high water table in some areas. Our drainage system in the backlands, and most of the development is coming in the backlands, is far different. So all of that has to be taken into consideration.
Currently, some 6.5 kilometers of land clearing and sand filling works are completed at both the Ogle and ECCLES ends. Technical Service Manager at the Public Works Ministry, Nigel Erskine, explained the process that is being undertaken using a special fabric to quickly drain excess water from the foundation.
By the end of this month, the whole embankment should be cleared and sandfilled. That's what we're working towards, to have the surcharge done by the end of this month for the full 7.8 kilometers.
So below this you put the fabric, or you put the fabric on top of this?
Okay, so first we clear the embankment, we put the sand layer, and then the PVDs is driven to 10 meters, right? It's in like a triangle section, 10 meters apart, 2.5 meters apart. And then on top of that, there's a drainage layer made up of a coarser material of sand, right? So the water that comes up from the PVDs is discharged through that layer into drains that we have at the site.
India-based Ashoka Buildcon Limited signed the US $106 million contract for the road project with the Guyana government in June 2022. According to Erskine, efforts are being made to meet the October 2024 deadline.
So as we speak, are they on schedule?
They are a little bit behind schedule, but they have ramped up work, so I think that we would complete this project on time.
Well, we're looking to complete before time, but they're not doing any night work as yet.
Yeah, they're working up to 10 o'clock at night.
Up to 10.
With the clearing of the embankment.
From both ends?
From both ends. So it's a significant development, and we are going to be pushing the contractor to have this project delivered on time and, of course, within the cost, the budget.
Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manikchand.
Vanu Manikchand joins us again to report that the Guyana government is one step closer to regulating the local real estate industry, as the first draft legislation are completed and are expected to be shared with stakeholders soon for feedback. Here's more.
This was revealed by Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister INT'L during his weekly program, Issues in the News.
The real estate bill is completed, and I will be circulating it to the stakeholders in a matter of days, and the consultative process will continue.
According to INT'L, he has had several consultations with stakeholders before and during the drafting of the real estate bill.
Consultation is an important part of our governance and is an important part of our legislative agenda.
The Attorney General further explained that having adequate real estate legislation in place is important to Guyana's anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism AML-CFT standing.
Real estate legislation is an important requirement under our anti-money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism structure, because that is one of the areas that are unregulated. Guyana, as is known, is scheduled to undergo a mutual assessment later this year, and one of the deficiencies identified in our AML-CFT structure is the absence of legislation governing real estate transactions.
Real estate agents in Guyana have been pushing for regulations to govern the sector. The Evening News understands that the draft bill includes provisions to regulate the operation and functions of real estate agents, registration and qualification of real estate agents, and reporting mechanism for transactions conducted by real estate agents. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manikchand.
Having earned some US $700 million through local content efforts last year, the Local Content Secretariat is projecting an increase in this year's earnings. Rupasina Ryan has the details.
At the recent Local Content Summit, an outlook showed that in the 40 carved-out areas, $721 million can be raked in for this year. However, with 20 to 25 areas added, it could push this number to $1 billion. Last year, $700 million was earned by local content. Speaking during the summit, Local Content Director Martin Pertap shed some light on employment opportunities that will open up this year.
If we do decide to consider the 20 to 25 areas, we'll be looking at almost $1 billion in business. And as it relates to the creation of jobs, we are looking at maybe around 890 new jobs, mostly in the area of professionals, technicals, and associate professionals. Key on our agenda, of course, this year would be building local capacity. We have heard many cases where, especially small, medium-sized businesses, they tend to be kind of having a deficit as it relates to having the necessary capacity to provide certain services. And of course, that would have stemmed from the default position of them being small. And in order to provide certain services, of course, you need to have the necessary experience.
It was highlighted that while over 700 companies have been included in the local content register, a lot of work has to be done now to sort them accordingly. Employment and procurement opportunities are also available on the portal.
A lot more has to be done as it relates to the sorting of those companies. Of course, we have registered in excess of 736 companies, I think, to date. And if you go onto our portal, you will see also opportunities that relates to procurement activities and employment.
Contract bundling, an issue that was rampant in 2022, was also addressed by the director. Bundling has restricted opportunities to stakeholders who provide multiple services.
Our position on that is that if it continues, well, simply we wouldn't recognize that in our measurement of local content, which companies do have an obligation to ensure that at the end of the year they reach the respective targets. And if those expenditures aren't considered for local content, then by virtue of that, of course, they wouldn't be able to meet most of those targets.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic on Thursday, April 13, 2023 at 23 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the BERBICE River Bridge is expected to be closed at 9 hours 40 on Thursday, April 13, 2023, also for a period of 1.5 hours.
Seven Guyanese to feature in Headley Week's Tri-Series, and it hasn't sunk in yet, says Noel on Carifta Performance. Details of these stories and more in this podcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.
The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security invites you to discover and support hundreds of unique women-owned businesses at Guyana's largest women's business expo, We Lift 3, Saturday 15th and Sunday 16th of April at Movietown from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. each day. We Lift 3, women empowering, leading, innovating, and flourishing together. Compliments of the Spotlight Initiative, Nations Inc., ExxonMobil, and the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security.
John Lewis Styles has opened a new department, now offering home goods. Here you can find quality sheets and towels, pillows, blankets, and even bath mats and shower curtains. Organize your laundry with clothes baskets, fabric steamers, irons, and ironing boards. For the kitchen we have small appliances, towels and mittens, pot sets and dinner sets too. Decorate the house with mirrors, picture frames, floating shelves, and decorative pillows. All these and more on Waterloo Street. It's fashion for the home. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Complete control of power is in your hands with the ultimate U.S. brand Generac generators from Sylvie's Variety Store. Get the supply and reliability you need every time. From 1,800 to 8,000 watts of power for residential and commercial use. Recoil and electric start with gasoline engines. Generac generators from the authorized dealers Sylvie's Variety Store.